good soundtrack, especially when it comes to a horror film, is the kind of soundtrack that you listen to and you still feel the the theme. You feel the theme of the movie. If the song doesn't quite fit the theme, you forget that it's either a horror film or a different genre. The Craft, it does have various different songs that were a good hit for the time in the 90s, but it's not the lyrics, songs that involve lyrics, that intrigue me about The Craft. The soundtrack that I'm intrigued by is the instrumental soundtrack. Like the music without lyrics. In fact, I don't think a lot of horror film soundtracks have lyrics. I know the only lyrics I got from the Nightmare on Elm Street theme song were the end credit songs. That's a good fit. But most of it was just instrumental on the organ, like The Craft sounds like a huge orchestra. When I hear the instrumental music from The Craft, I can still feel the theme that these crew members were putting together to make such a classic high school drama / horror witchcraft film. And when I listened to the soundtrack, I was like, yes, this is a good song. It's not so much the songs with lyrics, it's more of the instrumental, like I said before. Overall, I thought the soundtrack was a fitting sound and that it was all appropriate for a witchcraft film. The last thing I want to talk about is acting. I know in my other reviews I said acting was good, but it's time that I need to get down to business and say this is what great acting is, and that is if you feel it. There are some movies where you don't feel acting, and there's movies where you can feel the acting. For instance, I'll give you the examples that I've experienced. When I watch movies like A Star is Born and Titanic, you kind of feel excited, like you want to cheer and root for these characters to meet, become friends, and then maybe lovers. You're convinced. And there's some actors that don't have enough chemistry to convince the audience that they're actually acting together. Along with the feeling of good acting, it's also, you feel when they're angry, you feel when they're sad. Like, for instance, in the most famous revenge scene where Nancy gets back at Sarah's wannabe love interest, she gets into this rage, and then just, like, out of nowhere, she literally snaps, like, loses her mind. Literally. Like that. And just within that split second, you all of a sudden feel like, oh, wow, I could feel that. I could feel that anger. Firuza Balk is the face of high school horror films. The actress is a one of a kind. I've seen a lot of actors or actresses, and none of them could pull off that haunting anger, that just the way she just presented herself was just the real deal. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh goodness, I've never seen that done in a high school horror film. That was like way beyond Carrie.